what's going on? Is San Mateo County, Northern California, is there an economic upsurge?
We are very fortunate in the area that we live. In San Mateo County, we have the second lowest unemployment of the 58 counties in the state. We're at 4.6% right now. California is at 7.9 and the US is at about 6.5. So we are in a very unique ecosystem here. When you talk about are all boats raising, not necessarily. There are still struggles for those 18,000 people that do not have jobs.
Still struggles. Do you see any of the struggles?
What we're seeing in our industry, the hospitality industry, is an incredibly strong rebound. Most of our hoteliers, most of the general managers are telling us they haven't seen as strong a hospitality economy since the year 2000, which was a record for them. So in recent years, the last couple of years, it's been a steady increase in occupancy and a steady increase in rate, which is incredible for us. And of course, the hotels employ all types of people from entry level on up, and it's a great industry for people to work their way up. People might start as a bellman and several years later have the possibility of being a general manager. So when our hotels do well, it's a great sign for the local economy and for the workers.
So the prices are increasing straight across the board, even though the economy is booming. Do you think the increasing prices, for example, hotel rates, might keep some people out, and business might go elsewhere in terms of those conventions?
Well, there are a couple points on that. One is we truly believe we live in paradise, and we have some amazing companies here, and people are always going to come in to see them, see the people who work at those companies. We're in the unique position that we're very close to San Francisco. San Francisco is a partner of ours. We call it co-opetition. We want the rooms, but we understand people will go to the city, and we're in the enviable position of having room rates that are always lower than San Francisco's. So you might have a group that used to go to San Francisco that thinks the rates are a little too high now, and they'll come to us. Or our sales team will go out and talk to a group and say, we'd love to have you. The area isn't all as expensive as San Francisco. We can certainly find a rate that you'll like.
Well, certainly it looks like it's a rosy picture, Roseanne. So how do you explain it?
It is a challenge because this is a mecca for tech companies and for innovation. Literally, San Mateo County sits at the heart of Cal, Stanford, USF, a fabulous community college district, many small private liberal art colleges that are in this area. So people want to be here. Companies start here. They are born here. They want to continue. So for every tech job created, there's statistics out there that say for every tech job created, about 4.5 other jobs are created as an ancillary effect of that. And when you think about it, think about all the things that go into it. You have building maintenance, you have landscaping, you have construction and tenant improvements, you have food and beverage service. So you can see the other jobs that could be created. And it's a matter of matching those that are unemployed with the jobs that are available.
Still, in spite of the explanation and the rosy picture, you have more and more people falling from the middle class to the lower middle class. In fact, the highest percentage now are saying they're in the lower middle class. So at what point do you think these jobs will develop, or will they develop, do you think, for the, I wouldn't call them chronically unemployed, but for people who are finding work difficult to get?
I think there's a difference between the hospitality area is definitely an area where people in that category have great opportunities. Hotels have been known for years on letting people work their way up. In fact, they most prefer to have someone who's worked his way up within a chain. And surprisingly, what surprised me when I first came into this industry is that a hotel chain won't discourage someone on a hotel's team from going to one of their partner hotels in another city. They almost encourage that. They want them to know the brand. And if someone has an opportunity to take a step up and it's in another area, the GMs won't discourage that, which is great. It's a little different in the high-tech sector, certainly. but I think there are all kinds of training programs out there to assist with that.
I think we're seeing more and more companies looking to our community colleges, looking to our education partners to see what type of technical training is available, what type of general administrative training is available. I'm pleased. Anne had actually suggested that a person who is now at Skyline, there's a new program that is starting up there for certificate programs for the hospitality industry. And they're looking at other programs that can lead to technical training. I was just listening before we started tonight to the President's State of the Union address, and he said for the first time since probably the 1990s, manufacturing is coming back to the U.S. I think we have a real opportunity to look at very specialized manufacturing. We don't live in an area where there's a lot of land that is either not developed or protected. So, but manufacturing on a small scale, on very specific requirements, I think is possible in our area. And those are very good middle-class jobs. So we have to think about the training programs that can be a part of it.
So what type of jobs right now, you mentioned in the hospitality industry, what other types of jobs do you think, other than engineers, might be in high demand?
Right now, from the occupations with the most job ads for the San Mateo County area, and a little bit into what's called our MSA, our Metropolitan Service Area, which is San Francisco and Marin County, you have software developers, marketing managers, web developers, information technology project managers, retail salespeople, accountants, systems administrators. So there is a variety. I mean, definitely there's tech jobs, but there are other jobs available.
Now, about a decade ago, there was the .com, and that was booming, and all boats were
Right,
rising,
that's right.
and then there was a crash. So, is there anything comparable taking place? I mean, things are really surging. So, how do we know that this isn't something? Of course, we wouldn't know definitely, but
Well,
any signs on the horizon that there could possibly be a crash?
In my opinion, Roseanne, I don't know how you feel. I think the .com bust taught a lot of people things in terms of not putting all of our eggs in one basket and having it all be high tech. We're into a lot of healthcare now, green energy. Definitely, we've diversified in terms of the types of businesses.
Medical technology,
Exactly.
medical device.
Exactly. I mean, before I think there were many startups and a lot of younger, more inexperienced people who had a great concept perhaps, but not necessarily the work experience that those of us who've been around the block longer, right?
But there are a lot of those younger people starting businesses,
Absolutely.
like at the Facebook, and
Yes,
an
that's
awful
right.
lot of
And
startups
successfully.
now. Yes. Although the latest I heard, I read today that Facebook, someone's predicting, might not be around by 2017.
Oh, I think it will.
So I'm thinking, hey, I got to see this.
Well, there'll probably be a different Facebook. It might not be the Facebook that we know today, but if you look back 10 years, we didn't have LinkedIn, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Facebook, but we didn't have Zynga, we didn't have any of the mobile applications. But think about some of the technologies that are on the horizon. There's the new smart thermostats that people have been talking about. So they can be set up in your home that you can address your particular taste, your needs, whether you want to be hot or cold, or the humidity level and all of that. Internet security, I think. Security of the internet.
Oh, that's a big one.
Across the board. I mean, and that affects storage. I mean, the new Dropbox where you can upload pictures, or how Shutterfly handles, you can dump all your pictures, or Box for huge files. So when you think about it, the flow of information and the way that the internet is developing, but then you think about green industries, and Anne had touched on that with for example, sustainable practices, so green buildings, all the different things that go into tenant improvements, from the paint that's behind us, to the tablecloths, to the kind of containers that restaurants
Now, you mentioned manufacturing coming back, and green building, green industry, that whole industry. When it comes to solar, for example, a lot of that is being manufactured in China, like the solar panels. So I'm just thinking, since you deal with a lot of businesses and have your finger on a lot of businesses, what do you foresee in terms of outsourcing? All of that information technology right now, a lot of it is being sent out to come back to us.
I think there's a big push for more products that are made in America, and I think more and more of us have become aware of that. I know Jackie Spear started something at the San Mateo County Fair a few years ago.
Congresswoman Jackie Spear.
Yes, thank you. And it started out as a small corner, and now it's a much larger display of companies from the Bay Area who manufacture here. A year ago or two, she showed a company where they had been manufacturing overseas and brought the company back and hired all local workers. And that happened to be a company where they would take recycled plastic and make bowls that would keep the liquid in the bowl. It has a special lip on it, very well designed. So she's made a push. There's a national association now, I think, called Made in America, or that's basically their focus. And there is a definite push. And I've noticed increasingly in reading about contracts or things that have been done, people will say, and this company is an American company or a California company. I don't know if you feel that way.
I totally agree with what Anne had said, and the idea of Made in America is, and really made local, like shop San Mateo County. I mean, that's been a big push. Shop local, shop in the community that you live in. There are very real difficulties to doing business in China, from a legal perspective, from a government perspective, from an internet security perspective, and I think more and more companies are finding that out.
In India too?
And in India as well.
In the Philippines?
I think all countries, definitely with governments that perhaps aren't as stable as ours, have challenges. And this is the first year that China will not see double-digit growth. I think they just quoted 7.7% of growth for the Chinese economy. And as I was getting out of the car, the last thing I heard was that President Obama said, for the first time globally, people want to invest not in China, but in the U.S.
No, there is one wrinkle. For some, it's a wrinkle, I would think, for businesses, and that's the pay. Of course, if you're doing business overseas, you're paying less. And when you're here, you have to pay more. And there's already the demand for $10 an hour. And some said $12 an hour, and even that won't allow you to pay for an apartment in many cities. So where are we now, as far as you're concerned, with that whole issue of the minimum wage, with the businesses that you deal with?
Well, I think that companies have to recognize that people need to be paid a living wage. Whatever that means, it means different things to different companies and different areas of the country. Where we live, the cost of living really sets the stage. If you want to have the workers that you need here to get jobs done, no matter what industry sector, then everyone has to come to the realization that people have to be paid adequately, that they need health care, that they need housing, that they need child care. When Anne mentioned Congresswoman Jackie Spear, she hosted an event, a women's empowerment event in East Palo Alto just this past Saturday, and one of the questions that came up was child care and equal pay for equal work. Women are still paid on average 70 cents on the dollar for what a man is paid. So these are things that we need to tackle. I mean, we have to keep working at it. I think in the hospitality industry, I think as people move up, the pay changes.
That's right. And the training is critical. One of the big reasons that Skyline went for this grant, which is really greater than the Bay Area, it's a lot of Northern California, and we partnered with them as well, was they want to bring people in. They're actually targeting people still in high school, not just at-risk youth, anyone who is basically looking for a career, wants to make a good living, and these people will have the opportunity to be trained and ready to go to work in hotels, from running the computer software, which is very specialized for rooms in hotels. It's a different animal completely. They're going to take them through the training so that whether they earn the certificate or whether they finish 2 years of school and move on somewhere else, they're going to have some better skills, which will increase their wages as well. So that's
So,
that's a great program.
talking about wages, what is it like in the hospitality industry? I would think maybe in terms of hotel staff, it would be what, minimum wage of
You know, I'm
six?
not certain. I mean, certainly a chambermaid is going to be at the low end of the pay scale. However, most of these hotels are paying benefits to full-time employees. I remember back in 2001, and I think it was one of the Marriott family members who said, if we have to lay people off, let's keep paying their benefits for a year. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And I remember thinking, wow, as painful as a layoff is, to know you could still have health insurance was at least a help at the time.
No, that's an exception. That was an exception, right?
I don't know the answer to that. I just remember at the time thinking, wow. So, you know, in our world and with the program over at Skyline, it's just about training people, giving them the skills they need to really go into the hospitality industry and succeed. And partnering in a larger area than just San Mateo County or even the Bay Area. Andrea Visnor is running the program for Skyline, going all the way up to Napa and as far south as Monterey, and all of us pulling together, which should be more effective.
I'm fascinated by the program that Andrea has just undertaken through the grant, through the state community colleges district, and kind of what opportunities there are throughout the Bay Area and in San Mateo County, the hospitality industry being one. But I know I recently joined the Workforce Investment Board, the WIB in San Mateo County, and one of the goals of the WIB is really to assist those that do not have jobs, so the 18,000 that are unemployed, and also find the folks that need to be trained up to grow in their industry. So these programs at the community college level, as well as through the trade associations and the specific industries, we need to have a better understanding of what's out there and how to match the folks that are looking for the work. So I'm excited about where I see the San Mateo County WIB heading and the direction that they're heading in, because they're really drilling down to the level of how do we find jobs for those that are unemployed and underemployed.
And provide them with a living wage at the same time.
Exactly.
Now, the biggest thing, and you might have heard President Obama talking about it, one of the biggest challenges of this particular time is inequality. So, is that an issue as far as you're concerned at SAMCETA? With the businesses and...
I think the companies, by and large, SAMCETA has a very diverse membership. I mean, we have members ranging in size from 50 employees to upwards of 10,000 and more, I mean, onward. So, and it is a variety of industries. And I think one of the things I've seen through our members and our board of directors is there is a strong advocacy that business is successful, that the economy is successful. So what are the things that we need to do to make sure that that continues? We live in such a great place. So to address your question in terms of the income inequality, we're forward thinkers in the Bay Area. We are the home of tough challenges and innovation. So we can figure this out. I mean, I feel very strongly about that, and I see it through our membership and in the discussions.
That's amazing. That, I mean, it's one thing to talk about innovation in terms of business entrepreneurship, and it's another thing to talk about innovation in terms of tackling some of the real issues that underlie some of the challenges. And you think that the innovation in this valley will be put to... I mean, that's what you just now said.
Exactly, and I think it's there. I mean, I look at what Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan have done in terms of their donations to the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, which is the combination of what was the Peninsula Community Foundation and Silicon Valley. And they're very passionate about education and connectivity. So she's a pediatrician, and he is one of the founders of Facebook. And so what they want to do and the kind of donations that they are making to really, and this is about raising up. This is about, you know, bringing all boats up. Not just one boat or two boats, but all boats. So I'm excited. These are opportunities.
Yes, and having said that, the couple just made a $5 million grant in terms of health care.
Yes, they
with
did.
the Ravenswood Family Health Center. raising all boats and inequality, the income inequality, is that something that the convention and tourism gets involved in? You're bringing people here
we
to
are,
spend
and
money.
the more, that's right, and the more they come in and the more they spend, the better everyone does. We were talking about China and India. Those are two of our top visitor markets right now. And an international visitor these days, we used to say every international visitor is worth, it's like selling a computer. That's the benefit. But now computers are a lot less expensive and international visitors are spending more. So it's probably a couple of computers each one is worth. As long as we're encouraging international visitors and supporting that, everyone benefits and people move up within an organization.
That's
good.
absolutely fascinating. You said the visitors from which countries they're coming. Can you give us some idea, just
Absolutely.
going a little
China's
further down?
booming and very
Who makes, I'm just thinking, who makes up the most visitors from which countries?
Well, China's one of our top right now, China and India. Funny, we'd mentioned those two countries, and several European countries. Germany, the UK, of course. Australia, New Zealand are always strong, are still strong, and now we're seeing an increase from Latin America. So it's interesting when you're trying to deploy as a Convention and Visitors Bureau, you start targeting new markets every year. You can't travel internationally all the time. We have a great international director. She takes normally 2 or 3 international trips a year and targets, and whichever market we see looks like it's going to be strong, she'll go and start making the calls on the top booking agencies, and we do FAM tours, familiarization tours, bringing these top people in and top journalists from around the world
and
to show them
what's
the area.
the great attraction?
Well, we don't even have a show long
we
enough for
can't
that.
even assume.
Well-
Make the assumption of what the attraction.
Well, what breaks our heart from our research, what was a wake-up call for us was the #1 reason people come in to San Mateo County is San Francisco.
Yes.
Like it or not, we love
Yes.
San Francisco too,
Yes.
so we'll forgive them that.
But they're coming to San Mateo County.
That's exactly right. And then what happens is they love the scenic beauty of San Mateo County, and that's the reason when they come back, they purposely
Along
look at
the
us first.
coast? Or?
All over the Bayside. We're so spoiled we don't always even see what we have. If you really look at it with fresh eyes and you say, look at where we live, people would kill for this. You have the bay on one side, or should we go over to the Pacific tomorrow? Oh my gosh. Or should we go to the
Rain or
giant
no rain.
redwoods? Should we go to
Yes.
Filoli Gardens and see
Yes.
world-renowned?
Too many people visiting your woods now.
Unbelievable. Now, one thing we've noticed that people like to do is go to Facebook and take a picture in front of the sign. So, different things for different age groups, and we actually propose that to young families. Their kids love that. The adults love that.